My lovely students, welcome to Mathological. In this session, we'll be starting the topic of functions, and we'll be starting from very basic. We'll be understanding what a function is, how many types of functions are there, one functions, on-to functions, into functions, etc., etc. And then we'll be doing some questions. Start करते हैं session को, and if you've not already subscribed to the YouTube channel and you're liking content, then make sure to subscribe to the channel as well as press the bell icon. You can also join Telegram channel Mathological or can message me on Telegram at ADITYAAT. So, what is a function? So the word of function literally means what something does, isn't it so? And a function relates one set to another set in a particular way. Let us say there is a function that is defined from set A to set B. So consider a function as a machine. ठीक है, एक machine है जिसमें we are giving an input and it is producing output. A is the set of inputs and B is the set of outputs. Okay, so there are two conditions which are certain for something to be a function, for a relation to be a function. The first condition is that all input values should be accepted. Should be accepted. Basically, since set A is the input, so all elements of set A should be valid inputs. यानी कि all elements of set A should produce an output. That is what it implies. And second condition is that each input should produce exactly one output. There are two conditions. First condition is that all input values should be accepted, and second condition is that each input value should be producing exactly one output. यानी कि हर एक इनपुट के लिए exactly एक ही आउटपुट होना चाहिए. ठीक है, हर एक इनपुट के लिए exactly एक आउटपुट. एक से ज्यादा आउटपुट होंगे तो फिर फंक्शन नहीं होगा. अगर सारी इनपुट वैल्यूज एक्सेप्ट नहीं होंगी तो भी फंक्शन नहीं होगा. सो बेसिकली अगर हमारे सेट ए में लेट अस से देयर आर 3 एलिमेंट्स and set B has 4 elements. So for each input value, there should be exactly one output. ठीक है, let us say this input is connected to that output, this one is connected to this, and this one is connected to this. So all input values are accepted in this case. So yes, this is a function. So first condition is all input values are accepted. Second condition ki all input values are producing exactly one output. So this qualifies as a function. Yes, this is a function. Problem kahan pe aata? Just in case if there was one more input value, so in such a case this would have been a problem. If there was no output for this value, then this would have been a problem. Or for one particular input, if there were two outputs, तो ये भी प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है क्योंकि ये भी अनएक्सेप्टेबल था. सो एज लॉन्ग एज दीज टू थिंग्स आर नॉट देयर, तो वी हैव अ वैलिड फंक्शन. इज दैट मच क्लियर? क्या ये बात समझ में आती है? अब इसको फॉर्मली डिफाइन करते हैं, प्रॉपर्ली डिफाइन करते हैं, इफ दैट मच इज क्लियर. ठीक है, सो बेसिकली अ फंक्शन relates, because a function is a relation, so it relates one set to another set if every element of the first set maps, or basically has exactly one image in the second set. So a function relates one set to another set if every element of the first set maps or has exactly one image in the second set. Exactly one, neither 0 nor more than 1. So in that case, we have a function. So if function is from set A to set B, as we've already understood, let us say this is the function. So the first set The input set, all the values of the input set, these are called domain. And the second set, the complete set, is called codomain. But even if some values of the codomain are left out, so that is also fine. For example, this value is not connected with any element of set A, so that is fine. Okay? So the values that are connected, the valid values of output, these values are called the set of these values. This is called range, and range will always be a subset of codomain. It will always be a subset of codomain. In some cases, it will be equal to codomain, which is a special function, and in other cases, it will not be equal. It will be a subset. क्या ये बात clear है? Is that much clear? अब कुछ example ले लेते हैं. Let's say we have a set A and a set B, and elements in set A are 1, 2, and 3. Element in set B are A, B, and C. 1 is connected to A, 2 is connected to C, and 3 is connected to B. And each element of set A is connected to exactly one element of set B, isn't it so? And ऐसा नहीं है कि two elements of set A are connected to one element of set B. That is also not there. So one element of set A is connected to one element of set B. So such a relationship is called one-to-one relation. So this is a function. First thing first, function तो है ही है, but additionally this is a one-to-one function. ठीक है? Because one element of set A is connected to one element of set B, and no element of set B is connected to more than one elements of set A. So that is why this is a one-to-one function. Second example could have been that there are two sets A and B with same elements 1, 2, 3, A, B, and C. But now let us say this time 1 is connected to A, 2 is connected to B, but 3 is also connected to B. So we have one element of set B which is connected to more than one elements of set A. Function to rahega. This is also a function, a valid function. Let us say this was F1, this is F2. This is also a function, but in this case, in this function, one element of set B is connected to more than one elements of set A. So this is a many to one case. This function is known as many to one function. Function it is, but this is a many to one function. Also in this case, element C in set B, that is left out, isn't it? So that is left out, but that is fine. Still it qualifies as a function. No problem with that. Okay. Third scenario could have been two sets A and B, 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. But now let us say if 1 is connected to A, 2 is connected to C. Will this be a function? In this case, since 3 is left out and 3 is not connected with any element in set B, so this will not qualify as a function. This is not a function. Similarly, last case, A, B, 1, 2, 3, small a, small b, small c. And if in this case, 1 is connected to A, 2 is connected to B as well as C, तो क्या ये function होगा? Again, this will also not be a function because one element, that is 2, is connected with one element of set A that is connected with more than one element in set B. So this is also not a function. So last two cases are not functions and first two cases are definitely functions. That much should be perfectly clear. Isn't it so? Okay. आगे बढ़ते हैं. So basically, as we discussed, domain is set of values that x can take if you are defining a function fx, okay, fx from set A to set B. So in such a case, set of values that x can take for which fx is defined, those values are called domain. And secondly, range. Range is set of values that fx can take. Okay. Okay. Now let us take some simple examples of functions. Let us take a simple example first of all. सबसे पहले एक छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं. Let us say our function is fx is equal to x square. That is a function. Okay. And this function is defined from set A to set B. So if fx is equal to x square, what inputs can we take? We can take x equal to 0. Fine. For x equal to 0, x square क्या होगा? That will also be 0. Fx will also be giving result 0. We can also take x equal to 1. For x equal to 1, x square will also be equal to 1. अच्छा, we can also take x equal to minus 1. Negative value. So for minus 1 whole square, that will also be equal to 1. So basically for two input values of x, we are getting same output 1. Isn't it so? तो ये 1 1 वाला केस तो नहीं होगा. ठीक है, ये मिनी 1 वाला केस बन रहा है बिकॉज 1 का भी रिजल्ट क्या है, 1 का भी आउटपुट 1 आ रहा है और माइनस 1 का भी आउटपुट 1 आ रहा है. सिमिलरली इफ यू टेक 2, रिजल्ट विल बी 4. 2 square 4. For minus 2 also this will be 4. But basically we can take 0, all positive values of x, all negative values of x, और सबके लिए हमें कोई ना कोई x स्क्वायर का वैल्यू मिलेगा. Isn't it so? So fx will be defined for all real values of x. यानी कि set A, our domain will be all real numbers from minus infinity to plus infinity. All real numbers will be our domain. Set A will be, our domain will be from minus infinity to plus infinity. Isn't it so? But यहाँ पे रेंज हमारा क्या आएगा? रेंज क्या होगा? Since fx is equal to x square, so x square will always be greater than or equal to 0. Minimum value भी 0 आएगा, maximum value can be plus infinity. तो our range will be from 0 to plus infinity. Domain is from minus infinity to plus infinity and range will be from 0 to plus infinity. क्या ये पार्ट क्लियर है? ठीक है. और अगर हमने लेट अस से कोडोमेन डिफाइन किया होता, कोडोमेन ऑल्सो अगर हमने सेट बी को भी डिफाइन किया होता फ्रॉम माइनस इन्फिनिटी टू प्लस इन्फिनिटी, इन सच ए केस हमारा जो रेंज होता है दैट वुड हैव बीन अ सबसेट ऑफ कोडोमेन. Isn't it so? ओके, एक और एग्जांपल लेते हैं सेट का. Let us take second example. There is a function f2x and this is equal to x plus 5. Now what values can x take? We can take x equal to 0. For x equal to 0, x plus 5 will be equal to 5. For x equal to 1, x plus 5 will be equal to 6. For x equal to 2, x plus 5 will be equal to 7 and so on. If x is equal to minus 1, x plus 5 will be minus 1 plus 5 यानी कि equal to 4. So we can take all values of x, no problem with that. So if function is defined from set A to set B, so our domain will be taking all values from minus infinity to plus infinity. So domain will be from minus infinity to plus infinity यानी कि all real values of x. ठीक है, all real values. R भी लिख सकते हो इसको, all real values. ठीक है. और कोडोमेन क्या होगा हमारा? That will also be all real values क्योंकि हमें 0 के लिए 5 मिलेगा, 1 के लिए 6 मिलेगा, 2 के लिए 7, minus 1 के लिए 4 and so on. अच्छा, पहले वाले केस में this was a many one case because two values of x were getting same value of x square in most cases except 0. ठीक है. So this was a many one case. अगर एक केस में भी ऐसा होता है तो भी many one case हो जाता है, but in this case we for all x will be getting a unique x plus 5 and there will be no 2x for which we are getting same value of x plus 5. So this will be a case of 1 1 1 to 1 function. And our codomain will also be from minus infinity to plus infinity, और range भी हमारा will be from minus infinity to plus infinity only. So basically our range will be equal to codomain in this case. क्या ये बात अप्रिशिएट कर पा रहे हो? इन दिस केस हमारा जो रेंज होगा, रेंज एंड कोडोमेन बोथ विल बी इक्वल. ओके, क्या ये क्लियर? नाउ लेट अस डिस्कस some classification of functions, some types of functions, one function, many one function, as we already discussed. ठीक है, and then into functions and onto functions. So what is the difference between these types of functions? So first case is a one function, one to one or one function, which are also known as injective functions. Injective functions. Okay, and the proper definition is that every element of codomain is related exactly at most, exactly नहीं, at most will be proper word, exactly के केस में तो दूसरा मामला हो जाएगा. Related to at most यानी maximum one element of domain, at most one element of domain. Every element of codomain is related to at most one element of domain. ठीक है, क्योंकि कोडोमेन में कुछ एलिमेंट्स ऐसे भी हो सकते हैं विच आर नॉट रिलेटेड टू एनी एलिमेंट ऑफ डोमेन. ठीक है, हाँ, एवरी एलिमेंट ऑफ रेंज इज रिलेटेड टू एग्जैक्टली वन एलिमेंट ऑफ डोमेन. ठीक है, सो इफ एवरी एलिमेंट ऑफ कोडोमेन इज रिलेटेड टू एट मोस्ट वन एलिमेंट ऑफ डोमेन, सच अ फंक्शन इज कॉल्ड वन टू वन फंक्शन. ओके, और इन अदर वर्ड्स, no two different inputs can map to same output. No two different inputs can map to same output. Such a function is called a one-to-one function. Clear? And that is also called an injective function. ठीक है, इंजेक्टिव को याद करने का तरीका ऐसे है, ऐसे समझ लो कि every input is injecting a new image. Every input is injecting a new image. That is why a one-to-one function is called a injective function. ठीक है, every input injects a new image. Okay, clear? So in case of a one-to-one function, the test is, just in case if the question is asking, if fx1 is equal to fx2, that is only possible when x1 is equal to x2. In no case otherwise, because that is a one-to-one function. Many one function में ऐसा तब भी हो सकता है when x1 is not equal to x2. But in case of one-one function, if fx1 is equal to fx2, that is only possible when x1 and x2 both are equal. Or when we are checking that graphically, so graphically we can also do a horizontal line test. A horizontal line test. For example, if we are drawing a function f2x is equal to x plus 5. Okay, so if fx is equal to x plus 5, तो ग्राफ कैसा बनेगा? At x equal to 0, it will be equal to 5, and at x equal to minus 5, it will be 0. So the graph will be something like this. Isn't it so? ठीक है, now this is our graph of the function. अब अगर हम एक हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन ड्रॉ करें तो, और उस हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन को वर्टिकली हम ऊपर नीचे करें, सो इन दैट केस दैट हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइन मस्ट ऑलवेज इंटरसेक्ट आवर फंक्शन एट एग्जैक्टली वन पॉइंट. मस्ट ऑलवेज इंटरसेक्ट आवर फंक्शन एट एग्जैक्टली वन पॉइंट. ठीक है, वन पॉइंट से ज्यादा पे इंटरसेक्ट करेगा, सो इन दैट केस आवर फंक्शन बिकम्स अ मेनी वन फंक्शन एंड नॉट रिमेन्स वन वन फंक्शन. ठीक है, एज लॉन्ग एज इट इज इंटरसेक्टिंग एट मोस्ट वन पॉइंट. अगर जीरो पे इंटरसेक्ट करेगा दैट इज ऑल्सो नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम, बट एट मोस्ट वन पॉइंट. ठीक है, सो इन सच ए केस आवर फंक्शन is a one-one function. But if the horizontal line is intersecting even at one place at more than one points, then the function is not a one-one function but rather a many-one function. Okay, but rather a many-one function. Is that clear? तो पहला हमारा केस हो गया one-to-one function. Second case is of many-to-one function. And many-one function is that function which is not a one-one function. If a function is not one-one function, then that function is a many-one function. Okay, this was first distinction, one-to-one function versus many-one function. For example, हम पहले भी देख चुके हैं इसका. For example, this function was one-one function and this function here, this was a many-to-one function. Now second distinction, that is a on-to function, and which are also known as surjective functions. On-to functions that are also known as surjective functions. And in such a case, in case of an on-to function, the codomain is equal to range. Range is always a subset of codomain. ठीक है, when range and codomain become equal, such a case of function is known as onto function. That is known as a onto function. For example, if our function is defined from a to b, a has four elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and b has elements a, b, and c, and 1 is mapped to a, 2 is mapped to c, 3 is mapped to b, 4 is also mapped to c. So in this case, this is a many one function, because 2 and 4, two elements of the input are connecting to one element of the output, so this is a many one function. But हमारा कोडोमेन में elements are a b and c, range में elements are also a b and c, so since codomain is equal to range, so this is a onto function, many one but a onto function. Clear? So this is an example of onto function. And if a function is not an onto function, यानी कि codomain and range are not equal, then that function is known as a into function. Last case, that is a into function. An into function is that function which is not onto. If not onto, यानी कि codomain and range are not equal. And if they are not equal, then in all such cases, range is a proper subset of codomain. So if range is a proper subset of codomain, so in that case, our function is a into function. And if range is an improper subset or basically equal to codomain, in that case, our function is a onto function. क्या ये बात अप्रिशिएट कर पा रहे हो? अब सेम एग्जांपल जो हमने स्टार्ट में देखे थे, यहाँ पे फर्स्ट केस वाज 1 to 1 फंक्शन, ठीक है ना, और सेकंड केस वाज मेनी वन फंक्शन. अच्छा, फर्स्ट केस में अवर कोडोमेन हैड एलिमेंट्स ए बी एंड सी, रेंज में भी एलिमेंट्स क्या थे, ए बी एंड सी, सो दिस वाज 1 to 1 एज वेल एज ऑन टू. एंड इन द सेकंड केस दैट वाज अ मेनी टू वन केस, बट सी वाज लेफ्ट आउट, सो दिस वाज अ इनटू फंक्शन. इनटू फंक्शन बिकॉज कोडोमेन का प्रॉपर सबसेट है हमारा रेंज, रेंज में ए और बी ही आ रहा है, कोडोमेन में ए बी सी ऑल थ्री आर देयर, ठीक है. सो इन सच ए केस, सिंस कोडोमेन, एक सेकेंड उल्टा लिख दिया, रेंज इज अ सबसेट ऑफ, लिखा तो नहीं था अभी तक, बट रेंज इज अ proper subset of codomain in this case. So this is the into function, and in this case range and codomain both are equal. ठीक है, CD यानी codomain के लिए मेंशन किया, ठीक है. एंड दिस इज अ साइन ऑफ सबसेट, प्रॉपर सबसेट. रेंज इज अ प्रॉपर सबसेट ऑफ codomain, so this is the into function. And 1 to 1 and on to, those functions which are 1 to 1 as well as on to, these are called bijective functions. So the functions which are injective as well as surjective, those are called bijective functions. Bijective functions. These functions are 1 1 and on to, 1 1 as well as on to. So if there is a function f that is defined from a to b, and each element of set A is connected to each distinct element of set B, 1 2 3 4 and a b c d, let us say 1 is connected to A, 2 is connected to C, 3 is connected to B, 4 is connected to D. Now this is a 1 1 function, as well as the onto function says codomain and the range are equal, isn't it? And in such cases, when there is a function that is a bijective function, the number of elements in input set are always equal to number of elements in the set of range. ठीक है, codomain is equal to range, obviously because onto function. So number of elements in set A is equal to number of elements in set B is equal to number of elements in the set of range. Is that clear? Okay. Because each element of input set is connected to exactly one element of output set. Isn't it so? And every such mapping is distinct. Every such injection is distinct. So if there are n elements in set A, then there will be exactly n elements in set B, because no element is left out as well. Onto B है. अगर सिर्फ 1 1 होता, if it was only 1 1, so in case of only 1 1, if number of elements in set A is equal to n, number of elements in set B will be greater than or equal to n, isn't it so? सिर्फ 1 1 वाले केस में NA has to be less than or equal to NB. But if it is 1 1 as well as on to both, in such a case NA is equal to NB. Isn't it so? क्या ही क्लियर है? Is that much understood? ठीक है, तो अब एक क्वेश्चन कर लेते हैं. So the question is, there is a function f that is defined from the set that contains elements from 0 to 2 pi, including 0 and 2 pi, to set with endpoints a and b both included, and that function is defined such that fx is equal to 6 plus 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1 whole squared. So if the function is an onto function, then we have to find the value of a plus b. Pause the video and try to solve it. Function हमारा defined है from the first set that contains all elements from 0 to 2 pi to the second set that is from a to b that contains all the values from a to b including the endpoints, and function fx is given as equal to 6 plus 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1 whole square. Now since this function is an onto function, और अगर onto function है तो क्या है, codomain and range will be equal. क्योंकि हमें जो सेट दिया है फ्रॉम ए टू बी दैट इज द सेट ऑफ कोडोमेन, और यही हमारा रेंज का भी सेट होगा. Isn't it so? तो हमें इस केस में बेसिकली रेंज फाइंड आउट करना है कि रेंज हमारा कहाँ से कहाँ तक लाई करेगा. व्हाट विल बी द मिनिमम वैल्यू ऑफ द फंक्शन एफ एक्स एंड व्हाट विल बी मैक्सिमम वैल्यू ऑफ एक्स. एज वी फाइंड आउट मिनिमम एंड मैक्सिमम वैल्यू, दोज विल बी ए एंड बी ओनली. क्लियर है? तो हमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ मैक्सिमम और मिनिमम वैल्यू फाइंड आउट करना है. सो इफ यू ऑलरेडी कवर्ड दैट टॉपिक तो फिर इजिली फाइंड आउट कर सकते हो. अगर यहाँ पे पैटर्न देख पा रहे हो कि कैसे फाइंड आउट करोगे, 6 plus 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1. Now if you can recall, we know that a sin x plus b cos x या a sin x minus b cos x एक ही बात है. ठीक है, so that always ranges, minimum value is minus square root of a square plus b square and maximum value is plus square root of a square plus b square. So it is always between these two values. Isn't it so? तो 3 cos x minus 4 sin x का मिनिमम मैक्सिमम वैल्यू निकाल सकते हैं. 3 cos x minus 4 sin x, this will always be between root of 3 square plus 4 square with a negative sign and root of 3 square plus 4 square with a positive sign. Or 3 square plus 4 square, that is 25, the root of 25 is 5, so this will always range between minus 5 and 5. 3 cos x minus 4 sin x will be always between minus 5 and 5. Minimum value will be minus 5 and maximum value will be plus 5. But question हमें बता रहा है 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1. So we'll have to add 1 to this inequality. तो 1 add कर दो, तो this will be minus 5 plus 1 should be less than equal to 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1, and this will be less than equal to 5 plus 1. So basically this becomes minus 5 plus 4, that minus 5 plus 1 that is equal to minus 4 is less than equal to 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1, and this is less than equal to 6. बट इसका स्क्वायर भी करना है, तो वंस यू स्क्वायर दिस एक्सप्रेशन, तो स्क्वायर हमारा किससे किस वैल्यू के बीच में ट्राई करेगा. माइनस 4 स्क्वायर विल बी 16, 6 स्क्वायर विल बी 36. बट हमारा 3 cos x minus 4 sin x plus 1 इज रेंजिंग फ्रॉम -4 to 6. ठीक है, इसकी वैल्यूज हमारी -4 से लेकर 6 के बीच में कोई भी वैल्यू अटेंड कर सकता है. तो -4 हो सकता है, -3 हो सकता है, -2 हो सकता है, 0 हो सकता है, 1 2 3 4 5 6. तो एक गलती जो नहीं करना है जब स्क्वायर करना है, तो स्क्वायर करते समय नहीं लिख देना -4 का स्क्वायर इज 16. तो दिस विल रेंज बिटवीन 16 and 36. दैट विल बी इनकरेक्ट, बिकॉज -4 से लेकर 6 के बीच में जो वैल्यूज आ रही है उनके स्क्वायर पर भी तो काम करेगा. तो 0 का स्क्वायर विल बी इक्वल टू 0, 1 का स्क्वायर विल बी इक्वल टू 1, -1 का स्क्वायर विल बी इक्वल टू 1. ठीक है, सो इट विल बी टेकिंग ऑल वैल्यूज फ्रॉम 0 to 36 एंड नॉट 16 to 36. तो ये गलती नहीं करना है. दिस विल बी बेसिकली टेकिंग ऑल वैल्यूज फ्रॉम 0 to 36. क्या ये बात अप्रिशिएट कर पा रहे हो? एंड एडिशनली हमें चाहिए 6 प्लस दिस होल स्क्वायर, तो 6 ऐड कर दो पूरे एक्सप्रेशन में. तो दिस विल बी बिटवीन 6 and 36 plus 6, that will be 42. So minimum value will be 6 and maximum value will be 42. Minimum value of the expression fx will be 6 and maximum value of the expression that will be 42, and hence minimum value will be equal to a and maximum value will be equal to b. So a will be 6 and b will be 42. So a plus b will be 36 plus 6, एक सेकंड, 36 कहाँ है, 42 था, तो 6 plus 42 that is equal to 48. Our answer will be 48 in this case. So this was a good question. क्या ये बातें समझ में आती हैं? क्या ये क्लियर हुआ? Is the question clear? So our answer in this case will be 48, since the minimum value of the function will be equal to 6 and maximum value of the function that will be equal to 42. Okay. Is that part clear? So इतना ही रखते हैं सेशन में, एंड आई बिलीव जो भी डिस्कस है वो समझ में आएगा. नेक्स्ट सेशन विल बी डिस्कसिंग how many functions can we make from a given set to a given set if the functions are on two functions, if the functions are one functions, etc, etc. So there will be different type of cases that we'll be discussing, number of functions that we can make. So that will be for the next session. इस सेशन में इतना ही रखते हैं, and if you like this session then make sure you hit the like button as well as press the bell icon. That's all for this session. Bye bye, take care and keep learning.